Hello, welcome to a new format on my channel. I'm here with YouTuber Sancti.
Hello?
Hello. I mean, you're like a regular guest now,
Yeah, third episode.
third episode. And today we're going to go through the election test of the German Bundestag, the political parliament. And we're going to discuss all of the questions. The way they do it in Germany is that we have like parties. I think you have 30 parties. Oh, 29 parties, it says there. And they all answered these questions relatively short and snappy. And you can figure out what overlaps you have with them. And that's what we're going to do today.
So, I
You
have
ready?
a question. Is the test designed to be relatively short?
It's pretty, yeah, it's not too far.
Oh,
Too
okay.
long.
Let's go. I'm just wondering because I feel like if it's long, a lot of people are just not going to bother.
Doing it, you mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. I mean, who knows how many people do this anyway, but...
I think only like politically interested people do it.
Okay.
So let's start. All right. So it's obviously in Germany, so I am translating it to English.
Yep.
All right. The first question, I think, is also like kind of a difficult one. It says, should Germany continue to support Ukraine militarily? You know? And I feel like that has a lot of complicated aspects to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know? Because I think there's basically like there's two broad points of view, right? There's like the overwhelming one in the West, which is like if we give them more weapons and more support, then they will be in a better position to negotiate a better peace.
Okay.
Right? And I feel like at least in Germany, it's kind of like more the left view, where it's just like, no, you just need to like work towards a peace as fast as you can. You need to get both Ukraine and Putin to be on a negotiation thing, which I guess is like also what Trump's kind of stance is now, right? And so I guess for me the question is, I'm very lost on this one because my biggest thing is I don't care as much about the territorial integrity of Ukraine. I care about all the people dying, right? Like that's like as a humanist point of view, that's what I want to stop happening. And I'm not sure what Germany doing or the US doing is going to achieve that. Yes. So I guess for me, I'll just go neutral on this one. I don't know. I feel very very conflicted about it. I've read a few articles lately about like the recruiting in Ukraine, which has been very very depressing. Or they just pick people off the street, and a lot of people just don't want to fight. I mean, they don't want to like give up territory to Russia, but they also don't want to fight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course. People just don't want to die. I mean,
Exactly.
makes sense.
It does make sense, right? But that's not the view that, like, if you read Western media, that's not what you
Oh,
hear.
yeah, of course.
Like, it's
To the last
completely
Ukrainian.
Exactly, right? Like that's the other thing, right? Like in Germany, you constantly hear from all of these politicos. You hear like, "Oh, Germany, Ukraine is protecting our freedom there," right? But like, almost no Germans are going to fight there, and they could fight there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you're not really putting your money where your mouth is, right? Like you're just like, let's fight to the last Ukrainian, like you say. So I find this one a difficult one.
Yeah.
Okay. The translations are very bad. Perhaps it might be better if I just translate them.
Okay.
I mean, I can read it out. And
yeah, I just think as a visual part of...
Right. The expansion of renewable energies is to continue to be financially supported by the state.
I mean, I think we can all understand what they mean. Do we agree with them financially supporting it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very I totally agree with this. Like, we need to go green really hard. The problem in Germany is that like there's a backlash. I mean, there's a backlash everywhere, right? Like these kind of green investments have gone the other way, right? BlackRock is not talking about this anymore. Everyone's like, fuck the environment.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the general vibe right
Yeah,
now.
and I mean, it's an investment.
Yeah, it I mean, you should though, you know. Okay. So the citizens' allowance is to be cancelled for those who repeatedly reject job offers. So this is kind of like a new dole, you know? Like in England, that's what they call it. They call it citizens' allowance, but before that it was like unemployment money, and then it was like there's a lot of different names they used.
Yeah. I would just say no. I mean, but the thing is, I would be really interested in the actual details of how it works. But I would just immediately say no.
Yeah, I mean exactly. I mean that's what I think too. Like it's just like it's a clear no. But then like if you also read about it, it's like a hell no, you know, like because basically like even the German Supreme Court is like, well, you can't cut it anymore. These people don't have anything to live on. But the politicians are still kind of like, yeah, but what if we cut more though? Wouldn't that be nice? That's kind of like
I mean, exactly. What's the alternative? So they're just gonna. Okay, I guess the alternative some people would argue is, well, then they'll definitely take the job. I'll say probably not. A lot of them are gonna, rely on other people or.
Exactly. There's like only a very few people who actually are like completely not taking any jobs, right? Like there's like a lot of circumstances where you wouldn't do it anyways. And these people usually have like incredibly severe mental issues, you know?
Yeah.
Anyways.
I'd be curious what the jobs are because, my sister is like done this, right? And the main job they're offering is to work in the job center.
Yeah.
So it feels like I don't know.
Exactly. What jobs are they even offering? Like it's just a very it's the thing is
make a jobs program.
Exactly. Like that's really the thing, and like one that really gets you that has good jobs and good compensation for them.
Yeah. Next question.
Okay. So the citizen campaigns for those who repeatedly reject office. Disagree.
Ooh, this is an interesting one for the Germans.
Yeah, that's a very important one in Germany. Like people are really associating, no speed limit is such freedom. It's so important, you know?
Yeah.
But from my point of view, a speed limit actually makes almost everything better. Like driving anywhere that has a speed limit is so much more pleasant.
Yeah, I can tell like people feel more stressed out on these motorways with no speed limit.
Yeah, and it's like...
But it symbolizes freedom.
Yeah, and they're kind of like also saying, oh, it's an industrial advantage because we make cars, and so this is really good.
I mean, I think that they should do it. They should limit it, simply so we can see if traffic accidents go down. It'll be an interesting experiment. You know what I mean? Do it for 6 months and see what the results are like.
That's true. You could do like a real world test. I mean, apparently in the Netherlands, they used to have one that was like 130 kilometers, but then because of the EU, they had to have more strong environmental standards, and they didn't want to do anything with farming.
Yeah.
Because their farming sector is very powerful.
I see.
And so they basically made like 100 kilometer per hour speed limit everywhere. So I assume there's some data of what that is, but I have no idea about it. So yeah, I'm pro a general speed limit. The streets should be good, so you always can drive that speed limit. That would be so much better. All right. Asylum seekers who have entered via another EU country are to be turned away at the German borders.
No.
Yeah, I agree as well. The thing is, like, this is a thing in Germany because the rule in the EU, there was I forgot the name for what they call this. But anyways, like the first country that gets an asylum seeker is the one that was supposed to accept them.
Yeah.
I think it was the Lisbon process, but I might be mixing this up. Anyways, Germany, of course, has no borders to the outside of the EU. So it would actually have to take 0.
Yeah. Funny how that works out.
Yeah, it's exactly. So like a lot of more right wing are like, well, I mean, I think we should just do that. But then, like, Italy, which is getting a fair amount of them and has a far right government, and Greece are overtaxed by this and cannot take care of it, and that's why like there was like a more fair distribution that they found, and now they're trying to work back on this. But basically, I think definitely no. Additionally, also like this freedom of movement in Europe is such a great good. Like actually, like stopping this would be
how
well.
how would they actually stop it?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they mean in principle.
Well, I mean, the way they want to stop it is they want to close the borders.
Oh, I see.
And actually, so the thing is, right, it's incredibly racist how some of them are saying it, right? Because they're basically saying it's like, look, it's not going to affect you. The police is going to check the cars. And if you, wink, wink, white German, are going through.
Oh, I see.
You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. If your complexion is a bit different, you'll get checked. That's basically what they're implying or outright saying.
Yeah, the thing is, from that question, you don't really know how they're going to turn them away. You know what I mean?
That's the thing with like these things gives you a very like broad view of what people are saying. It still works usually. Like it kind of gives you a good idea. But all right, so we disagree on this one.
Yeah.
Okay, we're 6 out of 38 now. Okay. In case of new rentals, the rental prices should continue to be limited by law. I do think so. Like these kind of rental stops are very useful, and they help people very directly.
Let me read it in case.
Okay.
Continue to be limited. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's not the real issue. I think the real issue is the housing supply, but.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're not making enough houses, but at least this will not if you don't have the housing supply, you can at least say, well, you can't take incredible rents, that no one can afford. It's always difficult to figure out which one I'm actually want to click on.
Yeah.
Okay. At train stations, the federal police should be allowed to use software for automated facial recognition. Yeah, exactly. Fuck no. Do you want the state to have more power? It's like, now it's like, we don't like the immigrants, but next time they don't like you because you read like the wrong newspaper or whatever,
That one I'm interested in what normal person says, yes, let's do that.
Well, it's the whole, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear.
Yeah, but I feel like the right-wing people usually would be against this, the left is against this, you know what I mean?
I think like the American right has like a fair libertarian bent, which is kind of against this, but there are a lot of like authoritarian loving right-wingers. So no, definitely shouldn't be. Okay. Energy-intensive companies are to receive financial compensation from the state for their electricity cost. The question is like relatively broad, and I think it has to do with like when Russian gas was not used anymore and got very expensive, right? Personally, I think not really. The thing is, it can kind of like possibly break some industries that you want for your prosperity.
Yeah. But I mean, if you do it, then it just gives them an advantage.
Incentive, yeah, exactly. And then it's kind of like at some point it's you want this energy cost to represent what it actually costs to the environment, what it costs to create it. So I think I will just say neutral because I'm not like 100% sure on another one. Okay. All employers should be able to retire without deductions.
Employees.
That's what I said.
I said employers.
We can check back. This is on video. Yeah. So all employees should be able to retire without deductions after only 40 years of contributions. I think yes. I think that would be good.
And the use of the word "only" there, I'm not too sure about that one.
Well, I mean the way the reason they say "only" is because they can't now. Like they have to work more. Like if you go to work.
It kind of gives it like a slightly negative.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it might be different in the German.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with this. This is a good leftist labor demand.
Yeah.
In the introductory sentence of the basic law, the wording "responsibility before God" should continue. So that's our German constitution. We call it the basic law. That's not the usual translation, I think. I'm an atheist. I don't care for God, but I think this is really like irrelevant.
Yeah, that's my feeling too. I'm like, I think we should probably take it out. I mean, unless if it's gonna really upset people, I don't really care.
Like, what do you mean with that? Like, where does it come from?
Doesn't seem like the highest priority.
Yeah, exactly. I'll just be neutral. I don't think we should fight on that one. Germany should continue to promote the recruitment of skilled workers from abroad. So this is an interesting question, right?
Yeah.
Because like, there's so many different aspects to it, right? The thing that I find kind of interesting is that one argument that the right wing is making, like the conservatives, and you can just tell that they do not mean it. Yeah, is that they say it's like, isn't it terrible for these countries that we take all their skilled workers, right? And they're like, they basically just don't want immigrants. You know,
well, that's interesting though that they're making that argument.
Yeah, because it is a fair argument.
Yeah, because that's actually what I thought immediately when I read the question.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, in some place, like the UK is recruiting a lot of healthcare workers from different countries, and now they're having shortages and problems with their healthcare systems.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So it is difficult, but like then on the other hand, they also probably wouldn't have the same opportunities, and like, you know, just because you are a skilled worker doesn't mean you can actually pursue your work in a country that doesn't have the infrastructure for it.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. I mean, I personally think we should continue.
Yeah, I think
just
so
give them
too.
a better deal, right?
I think promote the recruitment, but then also try to promote, like, I don't know, what is it? Education in your country itself, right? So people, you know what I mean? So more German people are also.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, definitely we should just use all of the possible resources we have.
Yeah. The problem is that the reason they want to bring people in is to keep the wages low. So. Right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's or like at least reproduce what the wealth they have currently, but also like, you know, it is trying to
it's
push the wages down.
Pushing wages down. Yeah.
Okay, Germany is to use nuclear energy again for electricity generation. I think this is. Like the thing is, I'm not against nuclear energy to the degree that like the Green Party in Germany is and was. I think it's kind of over, though. Like, I don't think anyone in Germany wants to make more nuclear energy, more power plants.
I see.
So I'm like, I'm kind of neutral. It's like if you can somehow invest in it and you can make it and you can guarantee all the costs, then okay. But that's the problem, right? Because the government has to agree to basically pay for all of the potential costs of, like, you know, a nuclear meltdown or where to store it.
Oh, is this why people are against it? The cost?
No, people are against it because of the fear of.
That's what I thought. I thought that's the main reason to be against. I didn't think the cost would be a huge factor.
No, the cost is now a really huge factor for why even like producers of it aren't super interested in continuing. Like the energy is like, it's not competitive.
Oh,
it's interesting in Europe. Like, for example, there's some parties like Volt, which is like this new party, pan-European party. And like in Germany, they're like really against nuclear power, and in France, they're for nuclear power.
Oh, interesting.
So it's kind of interesting. Like, they have to kind of thread that needle. Yeah, but I'm neutral. I don't give a shit. The top tax rate is to be raised when taxing income. That's always a good idea. Although our real problem is wealth. It's not income.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's high. It's relatively high already, right? In Germany, the top tax rate for the.
I guess so. I don't know. I mean,
I just think that this should be a different question entirely. But I mean, obviously, I agree. It should be raised or remain high.
Yeah.
But yeah, wealth
I think
tax
it could be high.
important.
Like, I mean, the thing is, it used to be in the US like 90% or something like that for the highest thing, and now we're like under 50 all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if you make over $1 million a year, you can everything over that million, you can give 60% away. It's okay. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
You'll be all right. You know. Okay. Okay, the federal government should receive more competences in school policy. This is a very German question because we have this
Okay.
federal government and we have the federal states, right? And school policy is federal policy. So the government that we're voting for right now actually doesn't have any, competence. They're not allowed to really make the policy for this.
So if they did have that, then they could
Coordinate.
standardize things more easily.
Yeah, that's the hope. They could coordinate things better because like every single state has a different, slightly different A levels, kind of like if you're talking about English thing.
I don't know if that. I don't know how. That seems like you would have to really research both sides of it and what the advantages are.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are advantages to this. I do think the federal structure is good, but like that it is in education particularly is kind of like a weird weird historical reason more than anything. So I agree with this. I guess we're getting my result.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Yeah,
hell
yeah.
no. I was going to say something getting me cancelled, but hell no. I'm like, this is one of the reasons why I'm not going to vote for most of the parties.
Yeah.
Anyways, like anyone that's in government in Germany right now, I'm not going to vote for them. Like even if they say like you 100% agree with them on everything, I'm like, fuck that. I'm not voting for those.
The question is basically, should we
warmongers.
kill more kids, right?
Exactly. Like I mean, they're just using it to kill people, right? And not even the people that they're saying that it's okay to be killed, right? It's just like innocent people that just live there, that by chance of birth were born next to an incredibly powerful state that hates them.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost said the wrong thing. Jesus, what a terrible, terrible idea.
Is this correct? I didn't start virtual camera.
No, you don't have to start
virtual
camera. The virtual camera, this is a little bit of inside baseball, would mean that you can use OBS as a camera when you call someone.
Oh, okay.
You're just recording now.
Yeah, okay.
So it should be fine. This is the other thing too, like your camera needs to pick up your facial movements though too.
Yeah.
All right. All citizens should be insured in statutory health insurance funds. So there's also the thing about Germany. Germany has a dual system where we have public insurances and private insurances.
So does this mean that if you're in a private insurance, then you're not in the public one, and this would mean that you have to be in both or something?
So what they're asking, I think, is like, should we have like Medicare for all kind of situation where everyone is publicly insured?
Yeah.
And private insurance is only on top.
I think yes.
I also think it's not a bad idea because like we have like this two-class system in Germany.
Yeah.
As someone who's a beneficiary of the private insurance, or used to be when I lived there, it's just a bit unfair. Like people that are in private insurance get paid, like get treated better.
Yeah.
And if you just put everyone based on their income into one public insurance, they also the richest and the most powerful have to make sure that this public insurance is as good as possible.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
they have a reason to care about it anyway.
Exactly.
A personal reason.
So I think like generally it's a good idea. You can forget about this. This is not going to be on the table. All right.
That's interesting. It's so random to me, but yeah.
Yeah. The statutory quota of women on the boards and supervisory boards of listed companies is to be abolished. What do you think about this? I think, So it's basically about like quotas on like chief officer boards and stuff.
I think keep it for the time being. We're not there yet. You know what I mean? We haven't achieved gender equality. Right. If this gets more women at the top, then I think that eventually you can get rid of it. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think currently.
Yeah, I mean, I think sort of in the same vein that the one problem I see is that we're completely focusing on the wrong thing. Like basically in terms of like these feminist victories, we're only looking at the richest and most powerful, and they're not going. There's no trickle down happening. Yeah. So I'm almost gonna say have absolutely no women in executive power if all of the working women get equally paid to men. Like that's much more important, in my opinion. But like it's good. It's at least something, as long as it's not used as a fig leaf to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem with this, right, is that they find that generally it's people from working class backgrounds are being replaced by women from privileged backgrounds, and so it's just another type of privilege that's kind of
exactly. And like it's kind of like, well, we like this kind of, oh, okay, the director of the CIA is a woman. Now we did our job, right? Like at the same time, like millions of women work for 60 cents an hour, like doing the most terrible jobs, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's really that important. Do you know what I mean?
Me as well.
I do want there to be women at the top, but
so I don't think it needs to be. I'm not against it. The problem is there's a massive cultural issue, right? Like obviously, like a lot of these
to me, the whole point of this is because we're trying to undo, a very long history of oppression. So
I mean, this is kind of like
speed it up. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. That would also be the other question: is like, does it speed it up? Does it work? Like, is that the right approach? I mean, it's kind of like this DEI backlash right now that like the Trump people are having. It's kind of the same discussion, right? But I think like I'm pro it continuing. I just like, I think it's a bit misguided. Not the most important thing. Organic farming should be promoted more strongly than conventional agriculture. The thing is, right, that this is a really important topic for the Green Party.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if organic farming is actually particularly much better.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking too, because when I look into it, it does seem like it's not necessarily that much better, but I mean, I guess I would really need to find out what exactly qualifies as organic farming.
Yeah, same. Because like what I want is like I want much better standards for animal welfare. I want like safe, only safe like pesticides and things to be used, right? But I don't care whether they're organic or like some sort of chemical ones if they're safe.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's irrelevant to me. I just want like the best in that regard. So I'm pretty neutral on this, but I think like organic farming is a very important topic in these kind of Green Party discourse. It's so funny they call it neutral land, right?
Yeah.
Like what's that all about? I'm in neutral land on this. Okay. The federal government should increasingly promote projects against right-wing extremism. Yeah. I think that was good. Like
I think it's a good idea. I mean,
it's going in the other direction.
I'm so curious what the projects would be, how useful they would be.
It would be interpretive dance against the fascists.
Yeah, probably.
This is going in the other direction. Like the far right is going to be in government within the next 5 years. I called this already in my other video, but you can take that to the bank. But I agree. Companies should continue to have to monitor compliance with human rights and environmental protection at all suppliers. I very much agree with that, right? But like they're really watering this down. Germany watered down like the EU policy of this, and then its own. And they really just don't want any sort of oversight for companies to have to be like, oh, do we really have to check if there's child slave labor? That seems like a bother. Yeah. It's like, no, you have to check. That's the training support BAföG is to continue to be paid depending on the income of the parents. So BAföG is what students in Germany, poor students, can get to support their studies. They have to pay this back. It's kind of like a loan. There is an interest rate on this, but at least so far, I think your parents need to be under a certain poverty threshold to get it. And the question is like, should every student be allowed to get it if they want to?
It's kind of difficult, right? Because they're gonna miss people with this. You know what I mean? There's going to be people who are slightly over, but they have a complicated situation at home, and they, you know what I mean? This will be their only option.
I mean, this is exactly why it's actually easy for me. I'm like, just give it to everyone who wants to get it. It's not like the best free money option. Like it's not like this giving you.
And then how much are they spending to try to assess the income of the parents? Exactly. The extra steps. It's probably a lot.
Universal programs are almost always better. Right?
Yeah.
If you don't have, like, they're always talking about how they want to reduce bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And you know what does that? Universal programs.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
every check you put in is like, oh, does this unemployed person perhaps have like $1,000 under his pillow?
Yeah, yeah.
You bring someone to go back into their home and check this. That's bureaucracy.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is basically what happened to me with getting any financial support when I was becoming homeless. It's like, well, your parents earn money. It's like, yeah, but they're throwing me out. Like,
yeah. And so, like, maybe you're like, okay, you could sue them, like theoretically.
I would have to probably like, you know what I mean, try to find a way to separate myself through the court system. How are you going to do that as a teenager?
While you're living on the street, right? Like it's just stupid. Like just give people access to universal programs, and it does not matter whether they are rich. Like that's the thing, right? With Hillary Clinton, always like, well, I'd rather have all poor people never go to university than one son of a rich person getting paid by the government. It's like, this is insane. You're like insane.
Yeah.
Just make it free. Just make university free. Okay. So I'm disagreeing. This is really messing with my head. Like, you know, it's like I disagree with the phrasing of this, and then I also have to think about like, well, what did they actually say in German? You know, because
interesting.
Yeah.
Debt break.
Yeah, you heard about this?
It's what you've been telling me about the GDP, like right, the rule about how much debt you can be in.
Yeah,
and it's relatively
it's incredibly low in Germany.
Yeah, compared to other countries.
With 60%, I think. In debt.
It's a terrible idea.
Oh yeah, it is a really bad idea. Like, I mean, you could like there's a few more things you can actually do with this debt where you could spend more. And then before that, we already had like a debt rule, which was like, you know, just a little bit more lenient. And was like you can like put investments would not be included, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like because an investment actually might increase your GDP in the future, and then your percentage is lower again, anyways.
I feel like at some point they have to change it, or they're gonna find some weird loophole where they do something else, and it just.
Yeah, that's what they're doing right now. Like they gave one. Let me just think. It's 100 billion to Ukraine.
I see.
Right, and the way they did that is they just put it in our constitution. They said like there's 100 billion that is for our army because of the Ukraine war.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of they just put it in the constitution. They just make
an exception.
It's like, oh, you can do that. That's past the debt break. It's like, well, I mean, that's kind of stupid. Like, you know, you can just like make honest accounting, right? Because ultimately, you're in charge of the money, right? Like, I mean, you're a country. You're in charge of the money. But we don't want to go too deep into modern monetary theory.
Yeah, disagree.
Yeah, and everyone kind of disagrees. I think, like the conservatives are going to go around.
Yeah. I mean, it's not reasonable.
Asylum seekers should receive a work permit in Germany immediately after the application. Yes, I've always been.
Why not?
I know it's insane. It's insane.
Who's against that?
I mean, the problem is, right? Like the insanity of the conservatives. I'm like, don't like conservative thought, right? It's very bad. But they were like basically like, we can't let these people work here. We can't let these people work here. We can't let these people work here. And then within a week, they're like, these people need to be forced to work. These people need to be forced
Why
to work.
aren't they working?
It was like, how did you just turn on a dime, right? I've been from the start. It's like, give them the chance to work. And like, if they find good work, that's great for everyone. It's like a win-win-win.
Yeah.
You know? So, yes. Germany should reject the goal of being climate neutral. No, I mean, we need to be climate neutral, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's what I said. This is where the wind's blowing, right? Like, this is what I've been saying. Like everyone.
It's the same in the UK too.
Yeah, exactly.
People are being primed against this.
But yeah, I mean, we want to be climate neutral at some point. Let's just be. It's also better. Like almost all of the things that are climate neutral are better. You know, the energy production. The cars are better. Yeah. They're quieter. They're nicer. It's just, you know.
I mean, I think people are only thinking about certain things in regards to that too. Like, you know, it'll be bad for the economy. It's like we're breathing in all this garbage every day. Yeah. It's causing like part of the reason ADHD, right, is going up so much. is because it's linked to air pollution. Kids in more polluted areas, they have higher rates of ADHD. It's causing so many problems. It causes like, doesn't it cause 1 million deaths a year or something like that? And
it could be, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's causing intense problems everywhere.
I mean, that's the thing too. I think like oil and gas, like power plants, cause like an insane amount of deaths, like over the population.
Yeah,
they're just like not as direct.
It's just interesting that no one talks about that issue when it comes to being carbon neutral.
Exactly.
Okay, next question.
Yeah. In Germany, the 35-hour work week is to be determined as the statutory standard working time for all employees. I think that's also a good idea.
Is it currently 40 or something?
I think it's, so I don't know the exact rules. I think it is, I'm not sure if there actually is like a rule. I think like the thing is, this is kind of a thing that has socially been fought for. Yeah. Like, I'm not sure if it's actually in law.
I see.
Like, I'm not even sure that the 5 hour, like, I think you work 6 days a week, theoretically, in Germany. That's like still the standard you're going by. So I'm not sure what the law is, but from a labor point of view, like the unions, I think they should push for that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm comparing to other countries where it's 40 hours kind of the standard.
That is kind of the standard.
And so 35, this immediately sounds like, sounds great.
Yeah, exactly.
35 is less than 40, so.
Yeah, I mean, so I think there's like two aspects to it, right? There's on the one hand, there's these jobs where people say they work 40 hours, but no one can work a white-collar job for 40 hours. So really they're playing Minesweeper or whatever for 4 of those 8 hours.
I was wondering what game you were going to choose. They're playing Tetris.
They're playing Tetris. They love
solitaire.
Tetris.
I actually thought you were going to say Minecraft when you...
No, that's what I play. That's a very sophisticated game. Yeah. People play Minesweeper all day. And then
I mean, there's so much time just being wasted. Really.
Yeah. And so these people, 35-hour work week, they do the same work.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's like maybe even better. Yeah. You know? And then there's the blue collar work, right? Where every hour actually matters. Yeah. Right? Like if you're cleaning an apartment building or whatever, every hour you're going to do something, right? Yeah. And these people deserve, like these people do actually hard labor. They should be able to negotiate from like 35 hours. You know, maybe they should be able to
play a Minesweeper.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, everyone should be able to.
Isn't it just so crazy to think about how a lot of people during COVID just got to stay home and get paid, and then other people were working the worst jobs and they still had to continue? I mean, it's kind of crazy.
It is kind of crazy, and it's kind of crazy that all the people who wrote articles only know that one few. Yeah. Right? Like, because they're like, COVID was great. I stayed at home. And, you know?
Yeah, all the people saying I missed COVID. And...
Yeah. So we're very strange. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. Abortion should continue to be unpunished in the first 3 months only after consultation. Okay, so this is weird phrasing, right?
Yes, very weird.
But the reason is that in Germany you need to have a consultation and I think a 2-day wait before you get an abortion. And that's kind of like an argument that like more feminists are talking about. They're like, well, it should just be decriminalized completely.
Yeah. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Even unpunished, the use of that word is just
well, that's
insanity
what it is.
to me.
It's illegal.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, it's just seeing unpunished in that sentence. Yeah. It just says so much already.
Well, exactly. And like they're kind of saying it's like, oh, this was the agreement, so abortion is okay, but like it's illegal theoretically, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I heard about this consultation thing, I was pretty shocked that you have to do that, because also you don't know what doctor you're going to be talking to. Maybe you just coincidentally get someone really religious or something, right? Who tries to convince you out of it.
Yeah, and then like doctors aren't. I mean, I think that might have changed, but they weren't allowed to advertise that they're doing abortions, so it's really difficult to find. But I'm like, I think abortions should be, they should be acceptable and they should be available to anyone who needs them.
Yeah, so should continue to be unpunished. We agree with that. I mean, we think it should go further, right? Isn't that the point?
No, I think the way I think it is the only after consultation is the question.
Oh, I
of
see.
this.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think we disagree with
Yeah.
only consultation.
Yeah,
So we
only
actually want it
We're
to
talking.
be
Yeah, it's about the consultation.
free. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
that's why I mean, like this kind of
Yeah,
thing is
yeah.
very difficult to answer. The euro is to be replaced in Germany by a national currency. There's, I think, only one far-right party who wants this.
God, it would just be so much work, too. You know what I mean?
It would be really bad for the German economy too. We're really coasting on the euro being much cheaper than what it would be if Germany was had its own currency.
I still miss the Irish currency. It was so much prettier than the euros.
I mean, it's functional, the euro, right?
Yeah.
When expanding, we should have read these here. That's funny. Rail in front of road. When expanding the transport infrastructure, rail should have priority over the road. Yes, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like, do we even have to discuss this? Volunteer work is to be credited to the future pension. This is a really interesting idea. I think it's not bad.
Yeah, I think it's a kind of.
Because that's like one of these things. Like you're doing unpaid work or whatever, and you can't get pension payments, and you're screwed. But you've actually done a lot of really important work for society.
Yeah.
The property tax should continue to be allowed to be passed on to tenants. I disagree.
Yeah.
The right to strike for employees in critical infrastructure companies is to be restricted by law. They really want to restrict any form of striking and labor rights. Like they were really annoyed by the train conductors striking.
Yeah, first they came for the critical infrastructure company.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, who defines this? Like, suddenly, like, it's like all of you guys are critical infrastructure and just work for free forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the right to strike is really essential. And in Germany, like, the strikes are very low compared to, like, France or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, France.
No, even other countries, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. In Germany, it should be possible to have referendums at the federal level. I don't know what I feel about that.
Yeah, same.
I mean, we don't really have like a culture of this, and like it's kind of, I don't know.
Maybe it'd be fun. Some drama.
It'd be fun. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess I'm mostly neutral on it, but like I almost disagree actually. It's just an.
I mean, it's kind of more democratic though, isn't it? If you're just voting on an issue itself.
Well.
Yeah, I mean,
like the thing is, it's like this kind of one-time vote, and that determines everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I still remember after Brexit when a lot of politicians were like, maybe we just don't do it. Do you remember?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I mean, we have like this kind of setup where like our democracy is not a direct democracy, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad, right? Or like, for example, right? Like the Brexit vote, right? Yeah. It's 8 years later now. Yeah. Why did only these people 8 years ago, like since then, 8 more years of generations have the ability to vote, but they never get to vote on this.
Yeah,
like this is decided, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly disagree, but under 14-year-olds should be able to be prosecuted. I mean, this is probably just like they want like a police state.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just.
I mean, do they just make exceptions for really heinous crimes with this kind of thing, or?
I mean, like I think like people under 14-year-olds that do something will be like.
They will be dealt with somehow.
Yeah, like it's exactly right. Like they already are dealt with somehow. I don't know like what the level of it is, right?
Yeah.
But like they just like, well, we want to put them in.
Yeah. I think I definitely disagree with this. Really.
It's like just this really negative view of society, of humans. Really.
Yeah, it's also putting way too much responsibility towards kids. I mean, there are times where kids do absolutely horrific crimes, and obviously it's not safe to just let them out. But I think having this blanket thing where you're like, under 14s should be treated like adults. No.
Yeah. I mean, it's the thing is like all of this is kind of like an aging society having like the kind of problems that they feel like is important. It's all the safety thing, and
like, they're scared.
14-year-olds scare me,
or whatever.
You know, like they're really rowdy.
Yeah.
Okay. Germany should advocate for the abolition of increased EU tariffs on Chinese electric cars. Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's just like. I mean, it's just Germany being scared of competing because they fucked up and didn't create like electric cars in time, which is like we talked about for 10 years or longer, right? I don't know. It's like insane. But yeah, we need Chinese electric cars. In Germany, it should still be generally possible to have a second citizenship in addition to German citizenship. Agree. I mean, I think it isn't generally possible. I don't know if they changed this.
I think there is an exception for people who are half Swiss.
Yeah, there are a bunch of exceptions. That's why I don't think it's generally possible unless they changed something very recently.
Yeah, it's
sometimes
not,
possible.
It's occasionally possible for certain countries, but for most not. Yeah, I think that we're in a
global world.
Yeah, we're an increasingly globalized world. So this should be possible. You know what I mean? Like, why should a kid have to decide, their citizenship, right?
No, anyone really.
Yeah.
So they can fight in Ukraine, probably. That's why. A compulsory social year is to be introduced for young adults. Oh my God. They want to get that back, because of the war. I mean, really, they want like a recruitment for the army, and then like you can say, I don't want to do that, and you do a social year instead.
A compulsory social year? What does that entail?
They used to do that when I was younger. They only changed that like, I don't know, 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Like you might work in an old people's home, or you might, I don't know.
This is an interesting question, because it's like, how does that affect you in a global labor market? Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what they're talking about, right?
Yeah, you're losing a year.
Well, but that's my point. Like, I think like I'm not against it. Here's a bunch of things I think I would like to throw into the ring. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not against it. It should be paid incredibly well, and at the end of it, there should be like you deserve like an inheritance kind of like thing, right? There's this idea sometimes to give everyone a 50,000 euro inheritance, kind of.
Yeah,
because they don't have, everyone has it. So like we do this for the young people. That's my idea one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Idea two, everyone, old people, compulsory social year.
Yeah. Tell me about that one.
Maybe 2 years. They have time. I mean, I think this makes much more sense. Like they don't have anything to do. A lot of them. They would like to play, with kids or something.
It's kind of like a jobs program.
It is, but a nice one.
Yeah, it's just throwing it compulsory out. Doesn't make it sound so nice.
And I think especially who probably for the next 10 to 15 years should compulsorily be forced to work is our president. Because he constantly talks about like recruiting the young people and that they're too lazy. So fuck that guy.
Oh, God. That's happening a lot in the UK too. They're just like complaining about young people constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's really pointless.
Yeah.
Social has to be interested for young adults. Disagree, obviously. I will disagree, but under the certain circumstances of what is assumed here. Yeah. Like they're not taking my ideas into account.
Yeah.
New heating systems should continue to be completely powered by fossil fuels. Maybe it's like this is also a culture war issue, right? Like the Green Party wanted to have like this new technology everywhere because it's better, and everyone's like, no, I'm going to get a gas heater.
They'll show them.
But no, they shouldn't be. It's stupid. Like, stop with that nonsense. The statutory minimum wage is to be increased to 15 euros by 2026 at the latest. Yes. Actually, I mean, I would go for 18, but sure. Like, this is actually like a law that the EU more or less has.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense with what happening with inflation. How are you not going to increase it? It needs to be increased ASAP.
Well, I think the 15 euros means that you're at 60% of the median wage. I think, something like that. Okay,
let's go.
So this is
it's interesting. I don't know why I expected there to be more or different questions, maybe.
38 questions. Continue to this election of the parties.
I mean, they were all really specific to what's currently going on and not like a general.
No, it's not a general political compass. It's
that might be the best.
It gives you kind of a guidance of like, well, what parties that are actually being voted for right now are in. So I can tell you about the parties. So this is Social Democrats. We click on the ones we want to compare ourselves to.
Yeah.
Conservatives, Green Party.
Yeah.
Free Democrats. Hopefully, like if there is a God or if there's no God, they will not come into the parliament. And AFD far right, we can compare ourselves. We will not have much overlap with them, I can tell you that. The left, which is what I'm going to vote for, because like what else would you possibly vote for?
I don't like their little like logo. The
This one?
left. It looks a bit
it's very shit.
cheesy. Yeah, I mean, I guess all of them look kind of bad.
Yeah, not great, right?
Yeah.
This one I'm not going to check. This is a party for the minorities, and the Danish minorities in the north of Germany is irrelevant.
So specific.
Well, I mean, like, you know.
No, I know. It's just fun. It's just so random.
And so there's a couple. So like I said, Volt is this pan-European party. Not care about this. Die Partei is it's like a funny party. They have like a European guy in the European parliament who's kind of like making fun of it.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, they make good stuff actually, like in terms of Piratenpartei is the pirate party, which is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The Marxist-Leninist party, Germany.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a bunch of other ones. But the one we need is Alliance Sarah Wagenknecht. Yeah, that's the new left.
Oh, interesting.
Did
you select it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's colored now, slightly. Yeah. So she split from the left.
Yeah.
And like her thing is basically, I'm kind of left, but I hate immigrants. And
oh God,
I kind of like Russia. That's kind of like the vibe.
Okay, interesting.
You know,
interesting.
She's not a bad politician. When you hear her talk, she's very skilled. But okay, let's see what we're getting.
Hey, basically exactly what you would think.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically what I was thinking. Like, it's also what I'm probably going to vote. A lot of people don't like to vote for this one because, in a way, it is the follow-up party to the East German ruling Communist Party.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not quite the same anymore. It's like there's a lot of stuff that has happened since then. Kind of funny they also do this into the left, right? The Linke.
Yeah.
The Green Party, I'm not going to vote for them because they're warmongers and they are also to blame for Gaza. Same as the Social Democrats. I've talked to you about this, right? It's kind of like outside of the test scope, right?
Yeah.
But probably what's going to happen is the left is going to get 3-4%.
Yeah.
Might not be in the parliament, except they have the chance of getting 3 direct votes.
Okay.
And then they might be in. So that's my hope.
Yeah.
I want them in the parliament, yeah. The Green Party is going to get about 15%. The Social Democrats are going to get about 15%. This one is going to be a wild card. It's also like, is she going to be in like this kind of left? You see the overlap, right?
Yeah.
Like probably all her left things are overlap with me, and then and I hate immigrants.
Yeah.
Like me personally as an immigrant and a refugee from a far right authoritarian regime cannot vote for that, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the Liberal Democrats, please let them not be in the parliament. That would be so funny. And then the Conservatives are going to probably get 30%.
Oh, okay.
So they will be the biggest party.
Yeah.
And then the far right, which I have very little overlap with, except where they sometimes make sense. Which I guess is like,
rarely, I guess.
The sky is blue or something like, yeah, I guess you got to give it to them. You know, probably going to get 20. So
that is so bad.
So the Conservatives and the far right could probably form a government, but they probably won't because they're still like seeing them as like the Conservatives see the far right as a bad thing. For now, they will form a government in 2029. Take it to the bank. So the thing is basically like from how it is now, it's probably going to be the Conservatives with either the Greens or the Social Democrats, or maybe the Greens and the Social Democrats, depending on who's getting into it, right? And I said this to my friends already, right? Here's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
And this is the opposite of what the Conservatives want. The Conservative Party is going to do a coalition with the Green Party.
Yeah.
And the Social Democrats are going to be in opposition. And here's my reasoning, yeah? The Green Party with the Conservatives is probably going to be able to do things about climate change, you know?
Yeah.
And then the Social Democrats are going to actually find their labor side in the opposition. And they're going to try to fight against like these kind of things. Because like if the Social Democrats are in power, they suddenly forget that like they have any sort of union past. You know. Yeah. But yeah, so this is kind of like my thought right now. It's not surprising. Really?
Yep.
No.
Basically what you thought.
All right. Any final thoughts?
No.
No thoughts? You're just done.
Yeah, I'm
We talked for an
tired. It
hour.
was pretty long.
All right. So I guess we'll stop recording, and you stay spoopy, friends. Bye.